Let's just close it.
Yes. Well,
yeah,
like,
so I was telling you, Banker, so the political parties they make massive investments. Independents don't. Yet, when it's time for elections, that is why we've seen an unprecedented number of independents. It's easy. Wake up, announce yourself, and the IEC will tell you to pay. The law will says you pay exactly as the political parties. Even though we submitted 10,000 signatures, now they're asking for 5. We submitted. So even if a few is missing, they still disqualify you. The system is...
it's inherently biased.
It is. Yeah. It is.
There is something fundamentally problematic about that.
And that was supposed to be...
After the investments and all these things.
These were the reforms that we talked about.
Because I think the investments shows commitment. Yeah. You know, when you form a political party, the investment alone shows you're committed to do it, to this. That's not a fly-by-night.
No.
So you have to do whatever it takes to make sure those guys are in the race. Not to, because I was saying this, I think I told you this yesterday, that even disqualifying Dabo or Barrow is like taking relegating Man U or Arsenal out of the EPL.
Out of the Premier League.
It wouldn't make sense. It's like, dude, you want a good competition or not? I mean, you will take these out of it. It takes the competition.
But I disagree with that. I disagree with that analysis.
Yeah.
In the sense that there are rules and rules are rules. Today, if Manchester City violates financial rules of the Premier League, they'll take at least 18. The FA will decide.
No, but that's provided it's...
So even if bigger parties, if they violate or they don't meet the criteria, they should...
No, but in our case, though, that's not the case. This is more conjecture. People just, depending on who you ask and which side they are on, they tell you this one is qualified or this one is not qualified. So something that is not as crystal clear in the Constitution or the constitutional provisions don't make it crystal clear. You don't bank on this idea that we think this one is qualified or this one is not qualified. That's what I meant. Yeah, obviously, if it is a flagrant issue, in other words, it's crystal clear for everyone to see, it's a violation. Oh yeah, I'm sure even in the EPL, if you are probably relegated, you did not win your games, you are going to be relegated. They're not going to say, well, let's bend the
But I agree with you, but also that's why the courts come in, the Supreme Court comes in to interpret those parts of the Constitution that are vague. The Supreme Court, the judiciary, they interpret the law. The legislature makes the law. The executive implements the law. The judiciary interprets the law. So if people have their opinions on Facebook, it's opinions only. Just listen to them, let it pass. But when there is strong evidence that a particular candidate or political party violates electoral laws or the Constitution and is not fit for to run, there are procedures of objection. It goes to the courts interpret and they make a judgment. Whether you are a big party or a small party, the law is here for everyone.
But you know, in our case, Doctor, if you look at it carefully, it's very muddy. It's not as crystal clear. Take Dabo's case, for instance. If you think about public official being fired or what have you, I mean, come on. I hire you, I fire you, and you're supposed to run against me. The implication for that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but ministerial positions, these are political appointments.
Yeah.
Right.
These are political appointments.
Vice President.
Now, if there is some vagueness, some ambiguity as to who really, the courts can decide that. Why didn't we take it to the courts? I mean, we see the problem with Gambia is that we have a court of public opinion on the internet. Everybody is just coming up with their ideas. The courts are here. But for me, in my view, I think ministerial cabinet positions are political positions. That is why if you look at the law, it says voluntarily retired, and it goes on and on and on and on. So I don't think that anybody
compulsorily retired.
Exactly, and then it goes on. I don't think anybody who's been fired as a minister should be banned from running. If that is the case, a very bad law. I've not seen that anywhere.
If you open these things to constitutional interpretation, you know, as judges, and the Supreme Court judges are human too. They are not, you know, innate objects. At the end of the day, they're going to have to look at these things and then decide whether this is real or not. The moment you open it to that kind of interpretation, you are taking an issue like this where even you yourself looking at it, you are saying, nah, this is not right. This is not supposed to be. All of us will feel that way. But then all of a sudden it's open to interpretation.
It is.
And all it's going to take is some judge looking at this and saying, you know what, I'm going to call it this way.
That is why the Supreme Court has how many judges?
And
How many
yes,
there?
7. We have
Exactly.
7 of them.
So, I mean, all 7 cannot be wrong.
No, well, all it takes is 4 voting one way, and then it's
but the law is the law. I mean, that's why we have to trust the institutions.
Right.
We have to trust the institutions. Sometimes you don't agree with the verdict of the courts, but you have to accept it because it's a legitimate, competent institution.
Well, we would allow.
And then I came in rejected, getting disqualified. That was something that I found shocking. I was wondering in terms of your supporters, in terms of how they are feeling about Dr. Because clearly, Dr. being rejected, because clearly you have been viewed in many quarters as a fast riser, someone who is promising when it comes to politics. A lot of people were looking forward to you, being one of those candidates that we are supposed to qualify. And then here is Doctor, not been, at least according to the IEC, not being able to collect at least 200 signatures from Banjo. In terms of your supporters, how are they feeling about that? Do you have supporters who are disappointed in you? That, maybe some of these supporters may not really know how well you are doing in terms of each region. So, they might say, okay, on the whole, we love this man, we support him, but on the whole, he's not been doing very well in terms of his popularity in each of the various regions of the country. Have you,
No, I don't think we have any issue with that.
Sound the feeling of your supporters?
I think I told my supporters that this should not dampen our spirit. It should really rather strengthen our resolve to change this country for today and for the next generation. Certain things are beyond our control. The IEC requests for 200 minimum in each region. We gave them, in particular, 296 in Banjul, so it's not our fault. If had it been that we did not submit 200 to the IEC, then there's a problem. But we gave them extra 96 just to make room for ineligible voters. So now, if the IEC comes out to say that you did not produce 200, it is the onus lies on them to tell us how exactly, but they failed to do that. The way you heard about our rejection is the way I heard it, but that violates my right as a candidate to be informed prior to that in line with the Electoral Act. So it's not, people can have their opinions, they can think the way they are, but what we did right. We've done a lot of work. We cannot just come and jeopardize all work we've done because a few registered voters in Banjul. So that is not the case. We made sure that we compiled everything the IEC required. We've done a lot of work. We gave them 5,600 registered voters across the country. For Banjul, 296, and gave it to the IEC. So if the IEC comes out to say that it wasn't enough, well, they have to prove the evidence to us that it wasn't enough. But also, even if that is the case, the law says that we should have been given a chance, if the nominations were incomplete, to complete them before the close of nomination. But they never did that. And this is in the Electoral Act. So,
did you sleep at all last night?
Obviously.
Did you sleep at all?
For me, I see this as a setback. I've had many setbacks before. I told you I failed my common entrance. That was a setback for me. And I couldn't go to high school. I was dropped out for 1 year. I wasn't going to school. I was working in a carpentry workshop in Brikama. I was a dropout. I woke up again, I have a PhD. This is a minor setback, and how we rise to this setback defines who we are. We are not giving up. It's not the end of the road. Everybody has setbacks in their lives.
How do you measure yourself to the newcomers? You are a newcomer. You have Esafal, a newcomer. Abdullah Jame, a newcomer. One can call them as being some meticulous in terms of the way and manner. They just about managed to be in that list. You failing to be in that list. How do you...
Well, like I said, I don't think it has to be being meticulous. We've been meticulous. We submitted 96. If we did not submit 96, then you could say only meticulous. We submitted the required amount. So we have to know now from the IEC why they say we don't meet the required amount. So for us, it's not about us being meticulous. We are very meticulous. We submitted what was required by the IEC. So you don't blame us for that. That is beyond our control.
And I have also seen people ridicule you, saying, okay, here is Dr. Ceesay. He's the one who called for this grand Alliance for Change 2021. And he could not even, qualify. He could not even pass the nomination test.
But what I'm saying is too early for us to make that judgment. We are appealing. Let's wait until the outcome is over and the court says we did not meet the requirement. Then people can make judgment. I think some people came out too early to make judgments, and that is a bit dangerous, because once the evidence suggests otherwise, then they put themselves in a very funny position. Like I said, certain things are beyond our control. We submitted the required number of registered voters for Banjul and across the country. The IEC is saying something different. The laws are that we'll follow the laws to the procedures, and then we'll take it to the end, whatever the courts decide. But we are 100% sure that we really did submit what the IEC required. We cannot do all this hard work, all these years, all these sacrifices, just to be negligent in some parts of just Banjul. And that doesn't make sense.
Thank you very much to the viewers. We're right here at the Cocoa Ocean. We know the internet is playing up. We're sorry about that. We've not been having these problems when we were at the IECs because we're using a different connection, but we want to assure you all that since we're going to be having our interviews here, we'll make sure that this is fixed so that we can have the same quality like we were having at the IEC. But I have a question talking about Esafal and the turnaround movement and Sobea. A lot of people said when he came out, he actually killed CA. Is this true?
I don't think so. No, not really. I don't know what they mean by that.
Because he took all the crowd from CA. The CA was like...
What crowd was that? We've never had... Our strategy, like I said, was not about crowds. Our strategy was grassroots. We do house to house, garden to garden, wood to wood, village to village. So what crowd really did they take? There is nothing that can measure that. We have a big electorate. It doesn't mean that all the crowd that go to the rally are CA supporters. And also, people can go to rallies. It doesn't mean they are supporters. I think, like I said, it's only elections that can really tell us who is who now. It's too early for people to make judgments. And Facebook and social media is not the place to try to extrapolate what happens on the ground. So for me, I don't think that is the case. But yet people have their opinions.
Yes.
I think now let everybody do their work. Everybody, you choose your strategy as you deem fit. Go for elections. Like it's an experimental. Now we'll know after these elections where your base is. Right now, new parties, that's why when people ask, why is your base? I say, how can I have a base? I've never been to elections before. What is a base? A base is where you've had elections over and over, you've won. Right now, I cannot say that this place is my base. I don't want to elections there.
I thought it was a bit calmer, but one more question.
I've not been elections before.
Yes.
I cannot just because I'm from Brikama.
But then at the same time, though, people can gauge where a base is by virtue of where you seem to garner the most crowd, for instance, when you have your campaigns, or at least no, I mean, because let me give you an example. Lamin Satoboja.
Yes.
Burfoot.
You know his base is in Burfoot.
How do you know that?
No, because over there,
That's
when he
where
organizes a meeting, at least you have family after family that comes to his place, and you can see them. And if he organizes a meeting like that, at the Sedimentary level, there's a pretty good chance the folks...
That is where his base can be. But
yes.
can be confirmed only after elections that is why his base is.
Well, your base is in Birkama. That was why you had your launching.
That's where I'm from. But
Birkama.
For me, do I understand base? I mean, politically speaking, as a political scientist, it's difficult to say this is your base just because you are from there. You can go to elections and you get more votes in North Bank than in Birkama. Continuously, then North Bank is kind of your base. So what happens is that, yes, the raw material is there for you to turn that place as your base. But until you go for elections and they vote, you can really certainly say, this is my base. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying.
No, I see where you're coming from. That makes perfect sense.
So the raw material is there to transform that place as your base. But as a newcomer who's never been to elections before, you cannot really certainly say, this is my base. Because you have to go to elections, and then we'll see whether you've been able to garner enough votes there to really comfortably say, this is my base. But for now, I think for the new parties, to be honest, it's going to be very difficult for you to say, this is my base. Let's go for elections.
You know, in our case, since we don't have a polling system, and even the elections, again, are few and far in between. And also, you know, as we can see right now, some of the things that could potentially happen to even a very promising, you know, political party like yours. I mean, these are the things. So most of the time, the only way we can gauge these things, Doctor, is really by using the unscientific means, if you want to call them.
Which one is that?
Like for instance,
That's
look at the big party, small party thingy.
Yes.
I mean, look, we haven't. SFL hasn't gone to the elections yet.
Yes.
So we don't know whether he's a big party or small. We don't know. And I can go through the list. You get my point. But right now, when we talk in terms of which parties are big, which ones are small, is UDP and NPP. And NPP hasn't gone to elections yet.
The only party.
So all we are gauging,
exactly.
the only way we are gauging these things right now is the only scientific means that we are able to do it, which is what? The crowds that they tend to garner.
But that is not scientific, it is anecdotal.
It is anecdotal.
It is not experiment, it is not empirical. I tell you, you can safely
it's
say,
empirical. No,
you can safely say Doyle has a base in Serapunda. Halif has been winning there. You can safely say UDP has base in because they've been winning there.
Yeah.
But to be honest, for the others, you see, let me tell you something. If you today announce your candidature as an independent candidate, have a couple of millions of that, you can fill the stadium. It's no guarantee.
No, you said have a millions that you fill the stadium.
You fill the stadium.
How does that work?
How does that work? There are political operatives whose job is to bring you crowd. Now they'll tell you, they'll tell you, look, jabang temple timbe jabang la, electoral gele safine.
No, I never even thought about that.
No, we have a lot of even nomination. I mean,
So you know about it.
Even forming a political party. Even forming a political party. You know those signatures they gather to form a political party.
Yes.
You have operatives.
I'll give an example.
Yes.
Tell all the parties.
So I agree with you.
Don't transport anybody to the venue.
That's
Don't give anybody t-shirt. Don't give anybody food. Just announce I'm having a rally at buffer zone. Just come and list my ideas. You'll find out who will come.
But doctor, wait, this is interesting. like this is kind of like you have a group of people who sell people.
No, they are trafficking. People are trafficking.
Today, if you announce it that we are going to political Fatu Kamara is standing, you call your movement whatever, you have to have a political. I tell you, what Fatu? Just give me money. We'll cook for them for the day. They'll come to one venue, we'll cook, we'll eat, I'll bring t-shirts,
all I have to do is pay.
Just give me the money.
So this is business.
But let me tell you why this makes sense.
There is no guarantee that these crowds you see really are the ones that are going to vote for you.
But let's dial that back. No, but
let me tell you why this makes sense. Just I was at the nomination process the entire time.
Yeah.
So there was actually this independent candidate that came. And the people that he came with, I know for sure that he got these people somewhere around Senegambia. Because I always see them there. These are the boys who will tell you, oh, then look at them football, don't you make Halis? I saw them screaming, Mr. President, I mean, it didn't even add up. So yes, it makes sense.
People that are trafficking this stuff. They are making a lot of money.
But this is a good business, these
days. If you want to register a political party, they'll tell you, well, if you pay me $20,000, I can bring you 1,000 signatures. For every 1,000 signatures, you pay me 20.
And then what does the law say about that?
No, but
the electoral laws doesn't say anything.
That wouldn't be wrong. It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
No, that cannot be wrong.
To have people who are agents who are, doing this purposely to make money. Yes.
No, it cannot be wrong.
No, but doctor, you see, the reason why people are relying on this stuff is not just simply because, it looks real. I know it's empirical. But then these things have always been translated into realities.
In terms of?
Like in terms of votes, even. Let's take it as an example. I mean, even with Barrow's win in the by-election in Nyamina. Again, with those crowds, you can still say, oh, these crowds may have been rented or what have you. But in the end, when it came to the voting itself, maybe because the same financial muscle they have to bring those crowds to the stadiums and fill them up, is the same financial muscle they are going to use to get these folks to actually go to the voting booth and vote. It's possible.
It's not
so there might be a direct correlation.
In Namina, it's not the crowd. It's not the crowd. Something's happened underneath.
Yeah, but
money was splashed. Money was splashed.
No, but still,
it's politics.
It is the same thing. It's the same dynamic. Is what I was saying. It's the same dynamic.
Money and get people
and that is the same dynamic that actually is applicable to this crowd thingy. It's the same one that is going to apply to the electoral process. And I think it's a spillover, if you will. Because for those that are spending this money to bring these crowds to the stadium, they are just as willing and as capable.
I would like to interview one of them. If I know any member of those
who is doing that,
please can you get them to us?
There are parties, especially long existing parties, who really have some organic crowd. But believe me, it's a business out there. It's a business.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
And there are people who that's how they feed.
Yeah.
They'll bring you crowd. Next week it's his turn. They'll bring him the same crowd.
No, but listen, let me tell you another thing I saw at the nomination. I saw a whole lot of stuff that was interesting.
It should be lucrative business.
But honestly, I saw a lot of stuff at the nomination that was interesting. I told you about this group that came, and I know for sure that this group, they have absolutely nothing.
This was just a transaction.
$500
just a transaction.
Yeah, the way that they were clapping and the way that they were excited and jumping, Mr. President, they don't even know the name of the candidate. I can tell that. But another thing I saw a group of people who came with one candidate,
yes,
and they told me that I will see them again the next day. They told me that. They said, you will see us again tomorrow.
I know somebody.
This one is our family. But the other one too is the one that we support.
They said that. Yes, I have a very funny story. I know somebody who went to the UDP rally nomination.
Yes.
Right after that, when the Barrow's nomination came, he went there too.
No, this is interesting.
And he has his reasons, and very valid reasons.
But sometimes
because apparently he's UDP.
Yes.
But also he's struggling to see who he's going to vote for, because a brother of his is very affiliated with NPP. So he does. Yeah. So he's saying, I don't know who I'm even going to vote for in the end, because my heart is UDP, but my family is and this guy is who is part of the MPP machinery. Is saying, look, which side are you on here? And so these things, I don't know whether maybe it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Where maybe it's a small country.
It's a small country, but there are also others who really, that's their job. They're political operatives. They'll tell you,
so you have an
they'll bring you 5 gele.
So you have specifically, you have an incident where you had to engage one of these agents, and they charge you a certain amount?
No.
You didn't do
You've
that.
never done that.
For us, what we do is we have structures. You see, when you have structures across the country, it's much more easier. Now, you tell your chairman in, for example, your chairman in CRR South, there's this event. How many gele-geles can you bring to the event? Now, he'll tell you, okay, I've done some work here, I'll bring you 5. But how sure are you that all the people he's transporting to your event are really party supporters?
Exactly.
You don't know. You don't live there.
Yeah, you don't know.
You can bring. We just focus on what we think, what we can do, and we go for elections.
Funny.
And then after elections, now will be clear who has what support where, who has a base where, who can win where, who has how many percent. It will be very clear. Elections is what can really empirically tell us exactly.
I agree.
Votes.
The real
but for
deal,
now, everything is a bit messy.
Yes,
you don't know who's where, especially now where there are many candidates. I know people who have 7 different t-shirts in their wardrobe. They'll have a yellow one, a white one.
So depending on who is on the chart on that day, they'll
just put it on. They collect t-shirts.
But
they make it as a collection. Everywhere you go, I know that when they say t-shirt, if somebody come next day, t-shirt.
I know these t-shirts are in very high demand.
High demand.
But this
very high
demand.
This
is why Halifa said they do not believe in the big crowds. And one thing I saw too at the nomination, I was telling someone, if you look at the crowds of the different political parties and independent candidates that came in, there were some that that these are genuine supporters.
Yeah.
And that was mostly from the NPP and the UDP, with t-shirts, because most of them, they have no idea. They have no clue. They're clapping and singing about something they have no idea about.
Right.
So that's crazy. I mean, but before we go, I think we're about to wrap up. But I just have one more question for you, and then Banka would ask, and then Lamin. But a few weeks ago, I'm not going to say a few weeks, it's actually a few days ago, when you wrote about PDOIS that they should actually first change, their system before they talk about system change. And that was really big on social media, and everybody was copying it and sharing it. It was
I enjoyed that fight.
It was everywhere. It was a fight, and it was a big fight on social media. But and then people said what he said to PDOIS could also be the reason why this happened to him. Karma. Do you believe that?
Well, I think, you see, as political parties, I believe in the 4 C's, and I'll add a 5th one. We coexist, obviously. See, we cooperate, isn't it? We compete based on ideas. We challenge each other, or sometimes we caricature each other. It makes the politics interesting. For us, I don't think that's a big issue. I mean, what do you think? Political parties coexist in an environment where sometimes they go at each other. Sometimes they are nice to each other. Sometimes they have debates based on ideas. These things are quite normal. And for me, if any political party really, any political candidate challenges me, so what? It's normal. We had a little issue. It wasn't a big one.
Did you talk to them after that?
No, we did not. And then we spoke our mind, and that's it. That's how we are. We feel something, we say it, and we move on. It's no hard feelings, no envy. Sorry, no, not envy. No, how do you call it? We don't keep things in our hearts. We just spoke what we think that we should say, and then we move on. We are friends. Always be friends. The respect will never go away. I can tell you what I think.
That's important.
And then the respect stays. Honorable Halifa Saleh is a man I respect a lot. He's a man who inspires me. He's a man I admire. He's a man who everybody respects. So, but sometimes we we go at each other as politicians, of course, and then we move on. That doesn't diminish the respect we have for each other. It doesn't.
Obanka.
No, I mean, I was going to say, you know, you guys, you have a good fight to fight, go for it. Because with these things, we have to keep testing the waters. We have to keep testing the very foundation of our democracy. We have to test our courts. We have to test the institutions to make sure the foundations and the buildings still rock solid. So I think this is a unique opportunity for you all to, you and I, especially the ones that are making noise about this, to go and challenge these issues and see where it takes you. Because there will be a lot of, many others that will come right behind you.
Of course.
This occasion is yours, next one will be somebody else's. And maybe you will still be there too, and still you can advise others right behind you or in the mixed in there. So I think it's a good fight, and I wish you all the best in that endeavor, and hope that they will reverse this decision, because I think you guys will enrich this process and make it what it needs to be.
Thank you.
Yeah, very happy for you.
Well, maybe I'll just ask you, Doc, you want to pursue your appeal. Should your appeal fall on stony ground? I mean, I've seen some of the leaders who have decided to scrap or to suspend their campaign and recalibrating endorsing candidates here and there, candidates, at least those that have, been confirmed. What are you going to do if your appeal fails? What are you going to do? I'm saying, if you go to the courts and lose, are you thinking about anything regarding?
Well, like I answered that question before you came, that I don't own CA, I lead it, and I don't make the decisions. Then we'll have to regroup as a party, as an executive, and we'll decide what's in the best interest of the party and the country, and we'll do that. So for now, I don't know. Like we discussed, that she mentioned 4 options, and that was the 5th one.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Join Barrow, join Dabo, join Halifa,
or you stay away.
You abstain.
And then, you know what? Yeah, and then you just enjoy the show.
Or you abstain. But you have a voter's card, so you must definitely vote for someone.
Wins. I think what is important for Gambia now is we're at a crossroads. I think now anybody who wins these elections, all of us have to support that person to build this country.
Yes.
Supporting someone doesn't mean being in his government. It's about encouraging him. It's about advising. It's about critiquing. It's about saying the good things. The country, people are tired. People are very tired. People are suffering in this country on a daily basis. You know the pain of leaving your family at home and going to work as a police officer and not leaving fish money at home, thinking that I'll get that at the traffic and send it. The woman who is a widow who leaves home early in the morning to go to the market to sell bread and sauce to get money to go back and cook. The husband who's got a call from the hospital, the nurse, that the wife is dead. The disabled person who is stuck in his house or her house, and she cannot even go get basic groceries to eat because there is no mobility, because his or her house is deep inside Busumbala. There are no cars and the roads are bad. There are many examples. The person who is sick, he or she knows she's sick, but the doctor says, well, we cannot see anything. And you are losing on a daily basis, you are feeling pain, and you go everywhere, AfriMed, you go to RBT, you go to, we are not seeing anything. So the country is having problems. So I think this is our chance. For me, let the best candidate win. Let the people decide. Whoever wins, believe me, make sure you maintain the peace.
But you know what I'm saying? Because I hear politicians say this all the time. You know, they will talk about the wrongs. It's everywhere. It's not only in Gambia. It's everywhere in Africa. And I can even say in the Western world. But then when they become president, 5 years after, we'll talk about the same things again. The hospitals, the roads, the poverty. It never goes away.
It will go away in the Gambia.
It never goes away.
When we get the right leader.
Whoever comes, it will never go away.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't believe in that fatalistic way of
Well, but that's what we've been seeing.
No,
Gambia is like...
That's our experience.
How it has always been.
We've not been seeing that.
Gambia is 57 years old.
But
during Jawara's time, we said, oh, we do not have a TV. We never had a radio. And then Jammeh came and said, oh, I'm the first person to bring a television station. And then from there, we are complaining about hospitals. He brought Cuban doctors. And then he built the Buyam Hospital, the Farafenya hospitals, which are big hospitals. And then we realized there's no medication in the hospitals. You know, when it is time for surgery, everything is bad. And then we said, oh, when the coalition government comes, it's going to get better. And then President Barrow is right here. We're still talking about the hospitals. It's not going to change.
When you choose leaders,
it has always been a problem.
Based on emotions, then there's a problem.
Yes.
We've been choosing leaders using emotions. Now, Jawara's era was different. The current generation never had a chance to, in an open, free, fair competition, elect their leader. We all know what happened in '94. We did not elect Yahya Jammeh as a president.
Yeah, he came
That's
in.
one.
He forced
in
his
2016,
way.
it was emotions. We didn't even listen to President Barrow. He was telling us clearly that I cannot do this job. He was telling us, he was literally crying to us, I cannot do this. We said, don't matter.
There were people around him.
But we said, doesn't matter. All we want is for this guy to go. Now is the time for us to have all these, we have brilliant candidates. Let just put CA out. And my fat and others. Look at these 6. All of them are candidates with an impeccable record. Who can run this country? Let people choose among these and listen to them. Let's not vote. You see, the problem is not the leaders, it's how we elect these leaders. If we elect leaders based on emotions like tribal sentiments, like Badia Fasa, like those things, then it won't work. Let's look at these candidates.
Well, that's going to be a topic for another day.
Let's listen to these candidates, each and every one. What is your agenda? How do you want to transform things? What are you going to do step by step in the long? How are you going to solve the security problem in the short term? What can you do in your first 100 to stabilize the so that people are secure in their homes? How do you explain that? And then once we have confidence in you, in your ability to move this country, to fight crime, to do the reforms, we'll entrust you with the nation for 5 years. If you don't perform, we kick you out.
No, but see, I don't think that's what it should take. I'm saying that what we should do, what is wrong with all of us working together? For instance, if Barrow happens to be re-elected or Dabo wins, the people who are in the opposition and they have great ideas to transform this country, why don't they say, okay, we would join President Barrow or we would join Lawyer Ousainou Darboe so we can move the country
That's not good for the country.
What is not good for the country?
Some people
like a
have
unity
to,
kind of unity government?
No.
For everybody to put our heads
together? It's not good
together?
for democracy. You see,
So
it's not good
So
for
you
democracy.
think some people have to disagree?
Some people have to stay out because once you are out, what
Yeah,
you
but of
see...
course it wouldn't be everybody. Some would
That's
be
what
out.
I'm saying. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
everybody has to play a role. But some
And who are competent, because those that are on the outside...
Who will speak truth to power? I'm sure there'll be people like that, and also people who are very competent. People who would say if the executive, the president wants to do something and they think it's not the right thing to do, they can stand up and say, no, Mr. President, you cannot do this.
And
It's not that easy.
Why does it have to be doctor has to win before we see that change? Lawyer Ousainou Darboe has to win before we see that change. Khalifa has to win before we see that change. I'm saying let us put our heads together and work. Maybe that's what Gambia needs.
I
And
agree
the
with you. Like I
interesting
said,
thing
putting
about
our
it-
heads and work doesn't have to be in government. Like I said, there are local governments, there is
In
area
Africa
council
is tough.
chairmanship.
In Africa is tough. You have to be in the government to
but,
bring about that change.
That's what I'm saying. But the best democracies are those with the strongest oppositions and the best opposition. And everybody has to be in government. There are those who have to play a role and hold government accountable and give them alternative solutions. So not everybody has to be in government. We attract all the brains we can have from the diaspora and mix them with our organic brains here and build a strong country. But some people have to be in opposition to hold government accountable. So when government wants to do something, they say, oh, if I do this, doctor will hold me accountable. But if everybody is in government, believe me, then that's a problem.
Yeah, and the idea is actually not for everyone to be there. I was just saying, at least people who have all these ideas of change. But we are running out of time. I know we have more people watching now. And when we started in the beginning, we had some issues with internet, and we would like to apologize for that. You've seen the past few days, we never had any issue with internet. It's because we fixed some type of, a different network we were using is still our network, but it was fixed differently. But now we had to move today to come to Coco Ocean. That kind of like gave us a little bit of problem with connection, but we're going to fix this because we will be bringing you discussions every Sunday. We're trying to see if we can do this Sunday or on a Saturday or on a Friday, but we would let you know hopefully during the week. But thank you so much for your time and for watching. And Doctor, before you go, what would you like to say to the viewers, the audience?
Well, I thank everyone. I thank you, Fatu, Banka, and Lamin. This country is our country. What I would advise, not advise, but to tell viewers, everybody, both in the Gambia and at home, is let us stay calm and preach peace. We are going towards a very difficult period. It is elections. And I think every word that we utter, if it's uttered wrongly, every action taken wrongly, can jeopardize the security of this country. So let us be calm, let us be guided, let us be measured in our utterances, let us respect each other, especially party leaders. Let us give maximum respect to party leaders. And then have a peaceful elections. And then for me, the most important thing is maintaining the peace. And because these elections are high stakes elections. And really, that is the most important message for me. And I thank you.
Well, you look very presidential, sitting in a presidential suite. That's nice. Thank you very much for coming, Doctor. We appreciate it. I am Fatu Kamara and
Bankabane.
And I am Lamin Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you.